You're looking at the waiver wire. You're trying to find a wide receiver. The waiver wire this week's not too bad at wide receiver because we got some wide receivers who are getting some targets. They might be up and down. They may not be consistent, but it's better than nothing. And wide receivers seeing about a 20+% target share usually is rare this time of year, especially having multiple of them. But Dontayvion Wicks is getting a lot of buzz this week. He got a lot of buzz during the offseason leading up to fantasy football drafts. He hit last week. A lot of people are interested in him, and they're wondering if he's worth the squeeze for fantasy football. Well, we're going to tell you today, yes or no, maybe, maybe not. We're going to give you the advanced analytics and let you know what his situation's like going forward. But before we dig in, you need to click that subscribe button right now. We're doing deep dives all day long, every day on these players, giving you that advanced information, the data, the situations, and everything else so you can make your decisions. On top of that, we're going deep on waiver wires. We're using these videos to help you set your lineups. Click that button. Stop missing out. Ric Flair's watching you right there. Do not disappoint Ric Flair because he's a sensitive fellow right now. But Christian Watson is dealing with an ankle injury, but they said he's likely to be out a week or so. He will not be in this week. That being said, Wicks is going to get more opportunities because he gets the deeper ADOT in the offense. Last week, week 4, a few days ago, 24.8 PPR fantasy points, 13 targets, 5 catches, 78 yards, and 2 touchdowns. We just went off against the Minnesota Vikings. It was a great game script. The game script blew up to where the Packers had to throw it more, which created more opportunities for the pass catchers. Just remember that going forward. I dropped his all 22, all 13 targets on my Twitter. That's a good place to look at it for free. It's all there. Plus, I wrote some stuff too. But looking at his advanced data here, you're seeing a guy here getting 13 targets, a 24% target share. You're seeing a lot of targets in the offense. That indicates a busted game script. 80% route participation rate. Got a lot of routes ran. Christian Watson out. 200 air yards in this game. 15.4 ADOT, getting the ball deep downfield. You want a 20+% target share. You want a deep ADOT, 12+ range in the percentage there. Hey, that's great. 12+ average depth of target. I like that. Good market share of air yards. The thing about Dontayvion Wicks is he's a very crispy, sudden, assertive route runner who's also very subtle with that, but aggressive at the catch points. He'll get targets deep downfield. That being said, in game scripts that are not blown out like this, and with Christian Watson out, you're looking at him getting probably around 5 targets a game with Dubs and Reed there. Reed is the guy you really want out of this passing game. Dubs is that ho-hum waiver wire bet every week that you can make. He's going to run a lot of routes, and maybe the opportunities go that game. He did get some opportunities in this game. Wicks got the grand opportunities, though, which is something to note here. But Wicks can get downfield. He's good at the catch point. He's good at creating separation off the break. And we saw him coming out of high school here. And I thought this was important to note. If you don't know much about my channel, in the offseason, I cover high school recruits every day. Just like I do with these NFL players, I deep dive them. And the one thing I noticed here from 24/7 Sports here, which is indicative to his talent level, is they had him ranked very low going throughout the scouting process. And then during their last initial bump up in the rankings, they jumped them up there. Look, not many offers. 3-star in the composite, wide receiver 88 in the composite. That lets me know, because I know their tendencies from doing videos with their stuff every day, that he was a late riser. They went back and watched the tape on him. They liked something about his game. And that is interesting when you get to his time at Virginia. Slow start. A lot of injuries. We missed the 2020 season. We came back in 2021. Broke out, set records at Virginia. 9 touchdowns at 1,200 yards. Most ever for a wide receiver there. And the big thing to note here is the average depth of target. Think of the average depth of target you saw in week 4 here. ADOT 14.6 in 2022. 18.5 2021. 22.4 2019. So deep ball city. This is a deep dive. This is why we do the deep dive, to put the pieces together, to connect the dots, to get a better evaluation on the player to go forward. This is why we talk about high school, college. It may not matter for the now, but you also want to know about this player to make your decision. He had injuries. 2022, missed the rest of the season, and in 2020, missed the whole season, but we get to the Senior Bowl. Practice Player of the Week, playing against some of the best DBs in the country, looking good. It's the Senior Bowl. We get a lot of players looking good that don't pan out in the NFL. We get that to happen. But we're getting some dots here that are connecting here with his talent level. We fall to the draft a little bit. 5th round kind of makes sense considering his production profile. He's in and out with those injuries. Wide receivers always deep. You can always pull one out. 4.62 40-yard dash right there on the dash time compared to his ADOT. Very fascinating. If you just put those two numbers together, that insinuates good route running, good ball skills, because you got to get downfield and you got to have good ball skills to consistently get those deep targets. 212 pounds, 6'1", so we got good size, good burst score, sudden mover. You see that on film, especially you go to my Twitter and go check out the tape that I got posted there from last night. You look at the depth chart. This is the major question here. Christian Watson's got speed to burn. They drafted him pretty high a few years ago. Jaden Reed's the man here. We talked about him ad nauseum last year as a rookie, especially going into the season. Romeo Doubs is a good wide receiver. Dontayvion Wicks here. He has been heating up at the end of last year, starting this season, going into the offseason. Has speed to burn. He's very electric, very explosive. He's a wide receiver that just fits this mold very well, but you got some talent here that's getting used. You got a carousel effect at the wide receiver spot. So what I see out of this depth chart, even with Watson back, is just a carousel of these wide receivers. The main one you want is Reed, really, but obviously everybody has him in fantasy. But these wide receivers are just going to take their turn being the guy. It's going to be game script dependent. It's going to be coin flips with these wide receivers. But the thing is, Wicks is cheap. He's on waivers. He was a cheap draft pick. A lot of people were drafting him in double-digit rounds, especially in underdog fantasy, due to the upside here, due to what we saw at the end of last season. And the reason why the market was after him, because they saw what I was saying, and they saw what he was doing last year and the upside in his offense. There's upside to be had here. Watson's going to be out a little bit of time here. He's going to see more routes, probably going to push a 90% route participation rate. And this is what the market saw. This is why people were heavy on him on underdog. He was productive in the back half of the season, and I look for it to be in spurts. And why I like this for fantasy football is if I have matchup issues for my flex and I'm hurting at wide receiver, bye weeks are there, this is a wide receiver I can put in, and he can give you the upside on any given week. He can also give you the downside on any given week. So don't come to me when the downside happens and say, oh, this video didn't hit, because I just told you right there, and I'm just saying it right in the middle so you can make your decision there. He's going to give you upside on any given week. We saw that. We have 2 games of 24 points. We have a 15-pointer. We have down games. And that's because of the carousel effect led by Jaden Reed here in the offense for the Packers. But he has the talent level to give you those pop-off games. But there's competition in the offense. Game scripts are going to matter for that. So when I look at these games going forward, watch the over-unders. So if you have him on your roster and it's an over-under 45+, you may want to think about starting him. You may want to hedge those tiebreakers towards him versus that other wide receiver. After that, it's a coin flip. It is, but the workload will more than likely go his way in those matchups. Maybe against Detroit, that might be a good one since it's pass funnel in those matchups. Arizona is always a funny game script. Rams are in weird game scripts. Those are not must starts. I don't think he'll ever be a must start. I think he'll always be like a sneaky start, a sneaky option. But again, you're going to have to gamble. He's a gamble wide receiver. There's a lot of them. And fantasy football is going to be like that more in the future. 5 years from now, it's going to be mostly gamble wide receivers. It's mostly going to be a pick 'em due to the depth of talent at the wide receiver pool from what we're seeing at the high school level and the college level and how more deep wide receivers are getting. And he's going to be a coin flip wide receiver. You match him with your hosses, you're good to go. You see what happens. You let the chips fall where they may. You're good at wide receiver, you're stashing running backs. You're not playing this. You're not picking them up off waivers, and that's the decision you got to make. However, you need lineup gambles at wide receiver. You're hurting at wide receiver. You didn't draft well. You got hit by injuries. You need lineup gambles at wide receiver. This is one of them. He's a good lineup gamble. That's what I look at him as. There's going to be some upside weeks. There's going to be some down weeks. But he is a good upside gamble from week to week. You don't know what you're going to get. He's like a box of chocolates. But you know what? When you open up those box of chocolates, you pick out the right piece of candy, it makes your day. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Make sure to hit that subscribe button on the way out. One thing for watching. Catch you on the next video.